Every safari company on Earth has a version of the same briefing. Stay in the vehicle. Follow the guide. Do not approach the animals. Do not open windows inside enclosures. Do not leave the group. These rules exist because people stopped following them and did not survive long enough to explain what went wrong. What follows are 6 documented incidents where visitors dismissed the guidance they were given, and the wildlife responded exactly the way the guides had been warning them it would. Catherine Chappell was 29 years old, a visual effects editor who had worked on Game of Thrones. She had come to South Africa on a volunteer wildlife protection mission, which makes the decision she made that morning harder to sit with than it might otherwise be. She had come specifically because she cared about these animals. She understood in principle what they were. Lion Park near Johannesburg was a drive-through wildlife facility where visitors toured predator enclosures in their vehicles. The rules were printed on signs throughout the park. They were also printed on slips of paper handed to every visitor before they entered. Windows must remain fully closed inside all enclosures. There was no ambiguity and no buried footnote about it. A full-grown lioness weighs between 270 and 400 pounds, can run at 50 miles per hour over short distances, and kills by targeting the throat or the back of the neck. The bite force is sufficient to collapse a windpipe in under a second. What makes lions specifically dangerous in drive-through park environments is what wildlife researchers call fence habituation. Lions that grow accustomed to vehicles lose the instinctive wariness that keeps them from approaching. An open window is not a gap to them. It is an invitation. Catherine rolled her window down to photograph a lioness that was moving alongside the vehicle. The lioness was less than 4 feet away. Ben Govinder, a tourist in the car directly behind, raised his camera to photograph what he thought was going to be a spectacular close-up shot. He captured the lioness at the window a moment before it lunged. The animal reached through the open window and seized Catherine by the neck. The guide, Pierre Potgieter, 66, threw himself at the lioness and attempted to fight it off with his bare hands. He was injured in the process and suffered a heart attack. A second lunge from the lioness caused injuries to Catherine's neck that could not be controlled at the scene. She died before paramedics arrived. Park management confirmed that the attack occurred because the window had been opened in direct violation of park policy, and that the guide had not instructed her to do so. Ben Govinder later told reporters that, at first, the lioness simply looked incredible at the open window. The animal was enormous, filling the frame. Then it moved. The park did not euthanize the lioness. Battling Wildlife World sits at the foot of the battling section of the Great Wall in Beijing and operates as a drive-through safari park where visitors tour animal enclosures in their own vehicles. Signs are posted throughout the facility in multiple languages. Cherish your life. Never get out of your car. Every visitor signs a written agreement before entering, confirming they understand they may not open car doors or windows inside the enclosures. Zhao Jing, a woman in her mid-30s, was driving through the Siberian tiger section with her husband, her mother, and a young child. At some point during the drive, she got out of the passenger side and walked around to the driver's door. The reasons were disputed afterward. Reports initially claimed she had been arguing with her husband. Later, Zhao said she had felt carsick and stepped out to get air, believing she had already left the tiger zone. The Siberian tiger is the largest cat on Earth, weighing up to 660 pounds and capable of reaching speeds of 50 miles per hour in short bursts. It hunts by ambush, approaching from behind and targeting the neck in a single, decisive strike. A Siberian tiger in a wildlife park enclosure has no natural reason to fear a person standing in the open beside a vehicle. The person beside the vehicle does not register as something dangerous. They register as something that is now within range. The surveillance camera footage captured everything. Zhao can be seen walking around the vehicle, then stopping near the driver's door. The tiger comes from behind at full speed, seizes her, and drags her away from the car within seconds. Her husband exits the vehicle and runs after the tiger. Her mother exits the vehicle behind him. Her husband was uninjured and retreated. Her mother was attacked by a second tiger that had moved in from a different direction. By the time park staff reached the scene in patrol vehicles, Zhao's mother was dead. Zhao was airlifted to hospital with serious injuries. She survived after significant treatment. The child in the vehicle was unharmed. The government investigation concluded that the attack occurred because the two women ignored safety rules and disregarded warnings from park patrol vehicles that had been monitoring the enclosure. The footage was one of the most viewed news videos in China in 2016. It circulated globally within hours of the incident. A mother died in a tiger enclosure because her daughter got out of a car. Both of them knew the rule. Both of them had signed the form. Neither of them believed it would be them. Carlos Luna was 43 years old from Zaragoza, Spain. He was visiting Palansburg National Park with his fiancée and two other women when they encountered a breeding herd of elephants near a lake. The herd had calves with them. The park rule at Palansburg is the same as every game reserve in southern Africa. Visitors must remain inside their vehicles at all times except in designated stop areas. He stopped the vehicle. He got out to take photographs. His fiancée told him not to. The other passengers in his vehicle told him not to. Occupants of two other vehicles that had also stopped at the sighting told him not to. The official statement from the Northwest Parks and Tourism Board was specific about this. Despite warnings from his fellow passengers and occupants from two other vehicles that were at the sighting, he unfortunately did not heed their warnings. African bush elephants are the largest land animals on Earth. A breeding herd with calves is among the most dangerous wildlife configurations a person can encounter on foot. The matriarch of such a herd will charge at almost anything that she reads as a threat to the younger animals. And a person walking toward the group on open ground is not an ambiguous signal. It is a threat. Carlos had approached to what witnesses described as uncomfortably close range when the matriarch charged. He turned and ran back toward the vehicle. The elephant closed the distance in seconds and knocked him to the ground. The rest of the herd joined the attack. The 30-second assault was witnessed by multiple people in the surrounding vehicles, including his fiancée, who was unable to help. He was transported to hospital and died from his injuries. The elephants moved away from the scene immediately after the attack and showed no aggression toward the vehicles. The Northwest Parks and Tourism Board CEO later told reporters, "In some cases, people are oblivious to the dangers in the parks. We must remember that you are entering a wild area. Guests at Palansburg sign forms acknowledging they understand the vehicle rules before they enter the park." Carlos Luna had signed the same form. Not every incident on this list ends with someone dead. This one ended with everyone alive, and it is worth including specifically because of how close it came to not. Safari Park Beekse Bergen in the Netherlands operates a drive-through section where visitors can view free-roaming cheetahs from inside their vehicles. Signs at the entrance and throughout the park state in multiple languages that leaving the vehicle at any point during the cheetah drive is strictly forbidden. The signs make no distinction between briefly and permanently. They do not clarify that a short walk is still a walk in a predator enclosure. A family of 5, including a very young child, drove through the section, passed a group of cheetahs resting in the shade, and got out of their car. They walked away from the vehicle and up onto a grass bank approximately 30 meters from where the cheetahs were lying, apparently to look at something else. They turned their backs on the cats. The cheetahs had been watching from the moment the car stopped. 2 of them rose and sprinted toward the family within seconds of the group turning away. The footage, filmed by a visitor in a separate vehicle, shows the cheetahs closing the gap at full speed. A cheetah reaches 70 miles per hour at sprint. Whatever head start the family had was gone almost immediately. The video shows the family running back toward their vehicle with the cheetahs on their heels, the adults grabbing the child, and the animals closing in with a directness that made clear this was not exploratory behavior. The family reached the car. Everyone got back inside. The cheetahs circled the vehicle briefly and then moved off. The park manager told Dutch radio that the cheetahs were not hungry, but were protecting their territory. That distinction matters, but it does not change what was caught on camera. 2 large predators in full pursuit of adults and a toddler across open ground because the adults decided the signs did not apply to them. The video was shared globally and viewed millions of times. The family was not identified publicly. Juliana Tourneau was 64 years old from New Mexico. She was part of a tourist group that had stopped near the Maramba Cultural Bridge in Livingston after the road ahead was blocked by an elephant herd that had moved onto the bridge and surrounding area. What happened next became a point of official dispute. The initial police account stated that an elephant pulled Juliana from the vehicle. The Livingstone Tourism Association disputed this account specifically, stating that the group left the vehicle, which it described as a breach of national park regulations. The association was direct about its position. An incident of the type described by police, an elephant reaching into a vehicle to pull out a passenger, had never been reported anywhere in Africa or Asia. The working account from wildlife officials was that the group exited the vehicle in proximity to the herd. An elephant charged, attacked Juliana, and she was trampled. She died from her injuries. The detail that carries the weight of this incident is what the Livingstone Tourism Association said about the unprompted pull scenario. They did not say it was unlikely. They said it had never been documented anywhere in the world, which means if the elephant did not pull her from the vehicle, and if the association's account of a vehicle exit is accurate, the gap between what was officially described and what probably happened carries the same lesson as every other incident on this list. The guide did not send her out of the vehicle. The elephant was not threatening the cars. Whatever decision was made to be outside that vehicle while a herd was on the road in front of them was made by the people who stepped out. This final incident is different from the 5 before it, and the difference is the point. Gail Matson was 79 years old from Minnetonka, Minnesota. She had come to Zambia on what her family described as her dream adventure. She was on a guided game drive from Lufupa Camp in Kafue National Park, the largest game reserve in Africa. She was in the vehicle. The guide was in the vehicle. She was doing nothing wrong. The footage shot by another member of the group shows a bull elephant charging the safari truck from the side. The guide is audible in the footage. He is screaming. The elephant closes the distance in seconds, collides with the truck at full force, and overturns it. The CEO of Wilderness Destinations, the company operating the camp, issued a statement confirming that the elephant had charged unexpectedly and that the terrain in that section of the reserve had blocked the guide's route before he could move the vehicle clear. Our guides are all extremely well trained and experienced, but sadly in this instance, the terrain and vegetation was such that the guide's route became blocked and he could not move the vehicle out of harm's way quickly enough. Gail Matson died from her injuries after being airlifted to South Africa for treatment. She was the 4th tourist killed by wildlife in Zambia in a 12-month period. The guide did everything he was trained to do. He assessed the terrain. He tried to move. He called out a warning. It was not enough because in a vehicle, a few meters from a charging bull elephant in dense vegetation, the margin between possible and impossible can close in under 3 seconds. 5 of the 6 incidents on this list involved someone making a decision that the guide had already told them not to make. This one did not. Gail Matson followed every instruction she was given. She sat where she was told to sit. She trusted the guide who was with her. The elephant did not care. Every rule on a safari briefing card is there because somewhere, at some point, someone learned what happens when it is not followed. The Watson incident is the final thing those rules cannot protect against. The animal that does not wait for an invitation, which is why the briefing begins the way it does. Every time, on every vehicle, before every drive. Stay in the vehicle. Follow the guide. Do not approach the animals. The rules do not make the wild safe. They make you slightly harder to kill.